The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome into Bell to Bell Radio. I am your host, David Sears. Sorry for the delay. It's been a while. It's been 3 weeks of wrestling to cover while I've been gone doing lots of work in other areas, but I'm glad to be back. Let's start off with our top stories. Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux showed up to help Shotzi Blackheart beat Matt Cardona at GCW Homecoming Night 1 for the Garage Beer Championship. In a promo that was recorded for social media, Kross played a violin while sarcastically singing, "I lost my dream job and I'm so sad. This isn't WWE," before smashing the violin and yelling, "It's clearly not a bleeping work," and that he was done being sad and will go back to bleeping people up. We'll see where Kross shows up next after his appearance for GCW. Kross is now going back by his Killer Kross name, and Scarlett has added back Bordeaux to her name. Another big scandal that happened recently, Raja Jackson was involved in a brutal beatdown of California-based professional wrestler Stuart Smith, who goes by the name Psycho Stu. The video shows Raja Jackson, the son of UFC legend Rampage Jackson, slamming Smith to the mat and punching him in the head, with Smith was unable to defend himself about 20 times. Smith looked to be knocked out during the brutal beatdown. The locker room of Knox Pro Wrestling, which is partially owned by WWE legend Rikishi, emptied to try and protect Smith from Jackson. The fallout so far has been the LAPD investigating the incident as a possible assault. Smith has two broken orbital bones and a skull fracture. A GoFundMe has been set up for Smith. The good news is that Psycho Stu, a.k.a. Stuart Smith, has been released from the hospital after spending a week there. His fiancée says that he lost some teeth and sustained multiple skull and facial fractures. She also says he has a long road to recovery but remains in good spirits despite everything he has been going through. The police investigation remains open and no update has been provided from them. The incident stemmed from a beer can shot to the head from Stu to Raja Jackson before the show and what was filmed as a shoot segment. Stu thought that Raja Jackson was a wrestler. He's later filmed on camera apologizing to Jackson, saying he did not know he wasn't a wrestler, and then he was told that Jackson would get his revenge on him in an exchange after the show. It escalated from there. Jackson really brutally beat him badly. The WWE has dropped Knox Pro Wrestling from their WWE ID program. Big news is ESPN will begin broadcasting the premium live events for WWE starting September 20th with WrestlePalooza. WWE did a massive media blitz with ESPN, which is putting the PLEs on their new streaming app launched Tuesday, August 26th. This means that the WWE and Peacock will no longer have WWE PLEs on Peacock. Clash in Paris was the last PLE on Peacock for the WWE main roster. Per the Hollywood Reporter, WWE and Peacock have worked out a deal to include new main roster WWE programming to stream on the NBC Universal digital streaming platforms. It was learned that Cena's final match will be a Peacock exclusive for streaming only Saturday night main event. Peacock will be the exclusive home for all NXT PLEs going forward, so the main roster PLEs will be on ESPN and NXT will be on Peacock, meaning fans will have to buy two services as well as Netflix to watch all of WWE programming. While some people who already subscribe to cable or digital live TV services will have access to the new ESPN streaming app for a limited time, the length of the free access is currently unknown. During Triple H's appearance on ESPN, he did note that Pat McAfee will be returning to the WWE at WrestlePalooza. The WrestlePalooza PLE will be on the same day as AEW's All Out pay-per-view on September 20th. AEW All Out from Toronto will start the main card at 2 p.m. Central, with 0 Hour starting at 12:30 p.m. WrestlePalooza will start their pre-show at 3 p.m. Central, with the main event starting at 6 p.m. Central. For now, WrestlePalooza will be only streaming on the ESPN app and will be archived for viewing after the live stream is over. During the media call for Forbidden Door, Tony Khan talked about WWE's strategy to counter-program AEW as part of their plan to put them out of business. Tony had this to say, quote, "We've been in business since 2019, and in every one of those years, there's been other wrestling promotions at times doing some very cool things as well. And at the very best of AEW, I think we've just been super focused on what we're doing, not on being the only wrestling company in the world, but trying our best to be the best. And I know we have the best wrestlers, and this year I think we're doing the best TV shows, the best pay-per-views, and I know we have the best fans. So thanks for asking, and definitely it's going to be an exciting few months. And this should be a great weekend this Sunday afternoon with Forbidden Door." Pro Wrestling Insider, as I said NXT is going to expand their number of premium live events to 8 in 2026 to help get more bang for the buck for Peacock. Also, there are some people that believe in AEW that Chris Jericho is headed to WWE once his contract expires with AEW. The deal is rumored to be up in December of this year, allowing him to be an entrant in the Saudi Royal Rumble in 2026. There are some saying, though, that Tony Khan plans on adding time missed for injuries and touring with his band Fozzy to the end of his contract, like he did for Danhausen, since the WWE is interested in hiring the two. According to John Alba of SI Notes, according to John Alba of Sports Illustrated, AJ Styles put out feelers for options outside of the WWE before signing his latest WWE deal earlier this year. AJ also put out a picture of an hourglass with sand running out. The sand had his logo in it to show he's getting closer to retirement. AJ has said he wants to end up retiring when he is 50. In other news, Valhalla has been moved to the alumni section of the WWE website, meaning she is now a free agent. Dakota Kai has now cleared her 90-day non-compete clause, so she is free to wrestle wherever she wants right now. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are both filming the Street Fighter movie. It appears as if Cody will still work WWE and Street Fighter, while Roman is taking time off to do the Street Fighter film only. In other news and fallout for Forbidden Door, Wardlow appears to have torn his pectoral muscle after returning to join the Don Callis family at Forbidden Door. The injury is going to require surgery and will keep him sidelined for 6 to 9 months, according to reports. Nothing has been confirmed yet, with no word from AEW or Wardlow. Wardlow had a lengthy absence from TV with a torn labrum and then no creative for him after he was healed. He did fill that time by working on the new American Gladiator show for Amazon Prime. The injury may have occurred with the lariat he gave to Swerve Strickland's manager, Prince Nana, as the Don Callis family jumped Swerve Strickland after the match. Swerve was beaten down so he could have surgery on his meniscus. The surgery has been successful, as Swerve posted a picture to his social media with his right knee bandaged. His right knee has been damaged for years with that torn meniscus, going back to his time with NXT. There is no timetable for his return. We're also going to be without Will Ospreay for a while, as he's going to have neck surgery that could keep him out for a year or more. Ospreay has said his C2 and C6 cervical discs were herniated and pressing against his spinal cord. We wish him the best in recovery and hope to see him back quickly. And on a sad note, August 24th, 2025 marked the second anniversary of the death of Bray Wyatt. There were several tributes around social media honoring a true legend who has gone before his time. His legacy carries on with the Wyatt Six and the fact that the Universal Horror Nights is doing a Firefly Funhouse and Wyatt Six attraction this year. Wyatt was one of my favorite wrestlers of the FCW era, and I was a huge mark for the Wyatt family. I am glad that I was able to attend WrestleMania 33 when he and Randy Orton wrestled for the WWE Championship. There was some cool stuff done with the ring that you had to look at the screens around Camping World Stadium to see. But even though Bray lost that match, the audience was firmly behind him with the Fireflies. It's a shame that his only victory at WrestleMania was the Firefly Funhouse match against John Cena. during the COVID mania that, showed the first look at a heel John Cena. John Cena joined the NWO turning heel. It was a brilliant match. It was really just such a meta commentary on wrestling. And it's a shame that his life ended so shortly. The man was truly ahead of his time and will be missed. However, like I said, his impact on the business will be felt for years to come. All right, now it's time for TV results. We're going to go back to August 18th. I will have the week of September 8th results for you on Sunday. We'll recap the week then. Back on WWE Raw on August 18th, Jey Uso interrupted Seth Rollins in the Vision to hype up Jey and Braun's Extreme Philadelphia Rules match. Funny line from Paul Heyman before Jey interrupted, where Heyman said he was talking about the great ECW stars and said that while Tommy Dreamer may be alive, he should be dead. Graves and Cole went over Io Sky's issues with Asuka and the Kabuki Warriors before going backstage to find Io warming up with Asuka and Kairi Sane apologizing. Io accepted and says she's going to do things on her own. Io beat Raquel Rodriguez, who was with Roxanne Perez, Judgment Day Girls representing. After the match, Io gets the win, but she's jumped by Roxanne, which led to Rhea Ripley running down and making the save. Rhea and Io stood tall. After the commercial, Jackie Redmond is backstage with LA Knight when CM Punk interrupts him and says that Knight and Punk need to get on the same page to a clash in Paris, and LA Knight says he isn't sold on this. Then we get another backstage segment with Rhea and Io talking about the Kabuki Warriors, and the Kabuki Warriors getting mad at each other and at Io, with Asuka telling Rhea to stay out of it. Next match is Penta versus Xavier Woods with Kofi Kingston and Big G, Grayson Waller. Penta got the victory, and the New Day continues to stay in mourning. Then we get a recap of Triple Mania with AJ Styles costing Dominic Mysterio the Mega Championship. Graves and Cole then announce that Worlds Collide El Hijo del Vikingo will have a one-on-one match against Ernie Dom for the Mega Championship. That airs this Friday, the 12th at 9 p.m. Central on YouTube. Finn Balor and JD McDonough with Dirty Dom wrestle Dragon Lee and Mr. Iguana. Dirty Dom distracts Dragon Lee, which allows Finn to get the victory. After the match, Dom stands tall on the English announcer's table before being attacked by El Hijo del Vikingo. Vikingo hits a Meteora before Dom attacks and hits a frog splash. Dom then grabs the Mega Championship, holds it up, and we go to commercial. We come back, and Jackie is backstage with Becky Lynch, who says that Natalya attacked her the week before, which is why she had to defend herself. We then get a vignette of Bayley hearing voices in her head. Next up, Becky Lynch beat Natalya, who was accompanied by Maxine Dupree and Akira Tozawa. Becky wins with the disarmer and attacks Maxine while Maxine was checking on Natty. This leads to Nikki Bella coming out and taking out Becky to continue their build for the Women's Intercontinental Championship match at Clash in Paris. Next up, we get a massive brawl between Sheamus and Rusev while Sheamus was being interviewed by Jackie Redmond. This leads to Adam Pearce to get security to separate the two and declare a final match between them at Clash in Paris in Donnybrook. The segment after the commercial is Adam Pearce in the ring introducing the Women's World Champion, Naomi. It was a great segment. Naomi broke character for a little bit, announcing she was pregnant. The crowd was chanting for her. She got her composure back, went full heel again. She says the entire women's division should thank Big Jim for ending her title reign, because without him, they wouldn't have had a chance. She did say on the bright side, the bloodline continues, which was a really funny line. She puts her title down on the ring, lays it down while the crowd was shouting Baby Uso. She gets back on the mic, says she'll give the division 9 months and change, but then she'll be back to pick up where she left off, and the women's division should proceed with caution. After the commercial, El Grande Americano is seen blowing off Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor seems rattled by seeing Dominic and El Grande talking. Finally, we get to the main event, which is an Extreme Rules match in Philadelphia. The main event, Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker. Shenanigans occur when Bronson Reed attacks Jey Uso during the match, leading to LA Knight running out to even the odds. Knight starts pummeling Bronson Reed when Seth Rollins sneaks out and attacks Knight. After dispatching Knight, Rollins runs in the ring and hits the pedigree on Jay. Punk's music hits. Punk attacks Rollins. Knight joins the fun, and they spill out of the ring. Knight drives Bronson Reed into the barricade, but Rollins tosses Punk into Knight, and Knight goes through the table set up on the outside. Punk and Rollins brawl into the crowd, which leads to Braun Breaker and Jay battling it out in the ring. Braun sets up a table in the ring. Jay hits a couple of super kicks that put Braun on the table. Bronson Reed revives and knocks Jay off the top rope. Fans start chanting for Roman, and his music hits, and the place had a massive, massive pop. Roman runs down the aisle, spears Braun on the floor. Superman punch to Reed. Throws Breaker back in the ring. He stands up, eats a couple of super kicks from Jay onto the table. Jay hits the Uso splash and gets the pinfall, though Breaker's shoulders were not on the mat. They were on the table. Reigns then tells Bronson Reed he'll see him in Paris, and the Philly crowd was going nuts. NXT on 8/19/25 was also in Philly. Start of the show, Trick Williams is walking in the building. Then it shows Javon Evans walking into the building, Fatal Influence walking into the building. Then Chelsea, the Secret Hervis, and All Ego, Ethan Page walking in. Action actually starts off in progress as Josh Briggs and Yashiki and Inamura were already brawling backstage as their Philadelphia street fight began before the cameras got on them. They brawl to the ring. It was a really fun street fight match that ultimately ends with Briggs getting the expected win after some extreme spots with chairs and tables. I don't know what they're going to do with Inamura if he's going back to Pro Noah, but Briggs is starting to move on, and we're seeing where he's progressing. Tweet is shown of a conference call between Ava Santino Marella and Masha Slamovich, where Santino makes the pitch for Masha to be a ref in the 6-woman tag match between Fatal Influence and the Elegance brand. Masha then accepts. Next up is a fun match between Ricky Saints and Jasper Troy. Solid match where Saints gets to play the underdog for the whole time before rallying to defeat Troy. Good clash of styles with a Hoss versus an athletic, smaller dude. Worked really well. Hank and Tank are backstage with Ava next and want to know which Dark State dudes they'll face at Heatwave. Ava says that Dark State will show them at Heatwave, and Ava then meets the Elegance concierge, who introduces Ava to the Elegance brand. He asks for Ava to not allow Masha to be the guest referee because she has no referee experience. Ava says the decision is final, and Masha walks in with the ref outfit on and leaves. Elegance brand isn't happy. Jordan Grace walks to the ring to talk about Blake Monroe and have their face off. That was a really good segment between Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe. Blake has security between her and Jordan because if Grace lays a hand on her before Heatwave, their match is off. Grace then tears up security, saying she doesn't have to touch her to show her what will happen at Heatwave. She took out all security, grabs Blake by the wrist, and tells her she'll show Blake at Heatwave what ugly is really like. Fatal Influence is backstage and gets interrupted by Laney Reed telling JC to show her why she's the most dominant champ. Fatal Influence then almost comes to blows with Sol Ruka and Zarya, but Sol tells JC to get her time in as double champ because it ends Sunday. Laney walks up to Sol and says at least JC defends both her titles. Sol then says she feels the need for speed. NXT Spotlight has Sarah talking to Javon Evans about tonight's main event. Javon says he wasn't surprised with Trick walking out on him last week because Trick knows Javon has his number. Tonight he's going to whoop that Trick. Elegance brand lost to Fatal Influence in a 6-woman tag match. It was really good for both teams, help setting up and building up towards the triple threat match between JC, Masha, and Ash by Elegance at NXT Heatwave for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Masha Slamovich was distracted when Elegance should have had a 3 count that allows for JC Jane to tag in and hit the rolling encore for the finish. Next up, we get Charlie Dempsey backstage with Kendall Gray. He's giving Kendall advice about how she faced Alba Fire last week. Gray pushes back, and Ren Sinclair comes to defend Kendall. The Culling walk by and talk smack to No Quarter Catch Crew, and especially get in the face of Ren Sinclair. Dempsey starts to fight back, but Izzy Dame says there's no saving them, and the Culling walk away. Peace Treaty segment is next with Chelsea Green, the Secret Hervis, and All Ego Ethan Page with Tavion Height and Tyra May Steele. Before the segment begins, the Secret Hervis throws a table over the ringside to prevent anybody going through a table. There was good promo work from everyone. Ava comes down to announce there will be a mixed tag match at Heatwave. Chelsea and Ego then cheap shot the Olympians before the Olympians have stereo ankle locks on the Canadians after they recover. The Secret Harvest helped to rescue Chelsea and Ego. Next up, Miles Bourne congratulates Ricky Saints and asks him what is up with Briggs. Saints says he'll keep his eye on Briggs as he walks away. Lexus shows up and apologizes to Bourne for saying he wasn't deaf. He was just mad for losing to him and was insensitive. He also didn't know that Miles could wrestle at such a high level, deaf and blind. Miles goes, "I'm not blind," and then Lexus sprays something in his eyes and yells, "You are now," and runs away. Backstage, we get a women's locker room segment with Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan hyping their triple threat match at Heatwave before Last Legend walks in and points out Lola lost to Triple Mania. Lola and Lash argue with Kalani playing the Peacemaker before Lash warns Kalani that she's the biggest threat to the women's division, whether she's in a match or not. Next up is Dark State, and they talk to Ava and laugh about winning last week's main event before Ava reminds Dark State that Hank and Tank had the upper hand attacking them last week. Dark State says that everyone is now talking about them and not anyone else, including Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry pops out of the closet at the mention of his name, said that Dark State did it to themselves by saying his name. Joe wants to know who is going to represent Dark State at Heatwave, but Dark State says for him and everyone else to stay out of their way. Main event is Javon Evans versus Trick Williams for the number one contenders match. Winner gets to face Oba Femi at Heatwave. Oba causes a distraction to Trick while Trick was going for the trick shot, which allows Javon to get a springboard cutter for the win. Trick looked really good for the match, and that one moment of weakness allowed Javon to get that springboard cutter. Javon wrestled a near perfect match, so he'll actually look like a challenger for Oba. Great build-up, go-home show for Heatwave. Next up, it's AEW Dynamite on tape delay in Glasgow, Scotland. Bryan Danielson gets an intro as he's doing commentary with Excalibur and Shivani. Opening promo has Ospreay in the ring saying that he will have to have neck surgery in the near future, but he's aware of the risks associated with this match, and making it lights out means the risks are on him and not on AEW, which makes some sense now, because originally they called it a lights out steel cage match, which, made no sense because no cage matches or steel cage matches are already no DQ. So it just made really little sense to call it a lights out match. But now that they're saying that Will Ospreay is putting the risk on himself, his career could be ended, AEW is taking no responsibility, it explains the lights out part of it. Will says that he sees future generations will look to these three letters, AEW, and that he's going to be the standard bearer. If there's a chance he can't be Will Ospreay after this Sunday, rest assured he left it all in the ring. He says that he's going to Forbidden Door with four of his best friends, and before they can stab Will, he is going to take a pound of flesh for them. Death Riders music hits. Mox, Marina Shafir enter from the outside the arena. Mox gets in the ring into the face of Ospreay. Then Claudio and Wheeler arrive, and Ospreay challenges them to get rid of him. Jet Speed arrived to even the odds with Hiroshi Tanahashi, leading into our opening match of Jet Speed and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Death Riders. Tanahashi and Jet Speed get a victory due to shenanigans. You get Marina Shafir getting ejected. You get Ospreay taking her over his shoulder and taking her backstage. The Bullet Club War Dogs go after Jet Speed and Tanahashi. Then as they're getting attacked, the Ops show up to even things with the War Dogs. During all this chaos, Hiroshi Tanahashi hits a high fly flow to Yuta for the win. Then the Young Bucks show up after the match to attack Will Ospreay, who has brought a body bag out with apparently Marina inside it. Then Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy Strong attack the Bucks. The Death Riders attack Ospreay to free Marina from the body bag. But they open the bag, and it's Darby Allin. There's just mass chaos, brawling everywhere. Darby climbs to the mezzanine and coffin drops onto the Death Riders and War Dogs. The faces stand tall as they get back in the ring to celebrate. The bad guys lick their wounds as they go through the crowd, retreating. Get a recap of the AEW Men's World Title match. Then we get a segment in the ring with Shivani as he introduces Adam Copeland. The crowd singing Metalingus, and as they're singing it, get interrupted. Christian Cage. Christian starts his shield shtick, but Cope cuts him off and asks what he's doing. Cope says the people love him, and they love Cope. They're arguably the greatest tag team of all time, but he gets it. Christian's an a-hole, and one of the lessons he's learned over the years is sometimes you need an a-hole, and that Christian is his a-hole. Crowd starts chanting, he's our a-hole. Tony asked Christian if he found himself the way Cope told him to, and he said he did find himself, and he found out there was nothing wrong with himself. He's perfect, and while he and Cope may not be on the same page, they are at least writing in the same book. And while this isn't a happy reunion, it's a reunion of necessity. They shake hands and are interrupted by Kip Sabian and Mama Wayne. Leads to Nick Wayne appearing on the screen saying he has a broken foot, but he's found a replacement. Cool vignette shows a returning Luchasaurus as he's being resuscitated. And then he shows up on the stage with Kip Sabian. Luchasaurus takes out Cope, then pauses like he's going to be Christian's friend, then takes out Christian. The Luchasaurus stands tall. Mark Briscoe is shown backstage looking for MJF, saying he's going to murder MJF. Then Ricochet and the Gates of Agony are cutting a promo when they're interrupted by MJF saying he needs some help. They have a Colin Promlin and Mark Briscoe. Ricochet then says that while he usually loves seeing MJF running around with his head cut like a chicken with his head cut off, he likes what he's hearing. MJF tells the camera to get out before being attacked by Mark Briscoe. The AEW World Tag Team Title Eliminator Finals end in a time limit draw between FTR with Big Stoke and then Brodito, which is Bandito, and Brody King. This leads to a triple threat championship match at Forbidden Door. Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley then appear on the ramp, raising their titles while their opponents lick their wounds. Paige is in the ring and calls out MJF. MJF's music hits, but Shivani tells Hangman that MJF has a message for him, that Hangman must stay in the ring during the message. MJF is shown backstage with a tied-up Mark Briscoe. Mark Briscoe appears to be covered in gasoline, and MJF has a lighter. He tells Hangman nothing bad will happen to Briscoe if he stays in the ring, and lets him finish what he has to say. MJF has a list of demands. Number 1, the title can change hands on a DQ. Number 2, the title can change hand on a countout. Number 3, if MJF loses, he doesn't forfeit his contract. And then MJF starts counting to 5 before Hangman agrees to it right as MJF gets to 4. MJF says that he'll see Hanger at Forbidden Door. Hangman grabs a steel chair and heads to the back. Ricochet's back there, ends up getting attacked by Hangman. Hangman yells at security to tell him where MJF is. Security says he's already gone. Then Hangman punches security guard and takes off in the direction of MJF. Main event is Mercedes Moné and Athena versus Timeless Tony Storm and Alex Windsor. Persephone of CMLL and Bozilla of Stardom are shown ringside and announced to participate in a fatal four-way with Mercedes and Alex Windsor on Sunday in a great main event. Mercedes and Athena get the win, setting the table for Sunday. The heels stand tall. Up next is the SmackDown from August 22nd. Opening of the show has Becky Lynch in the ring in her hometown of Dublin, Ireland. Lynch starts running down Dublin, saying they don't deserve her presence. She starts building up America, which brings out the boos. Gets interrupted by Tiffany Stratton, who says she can't believe how ungrateful Becky is towards this great city of Dublin. Cheap pop. She learned that from Mick Foley. Nia Jackson attacks Tiffany, and Jade Cargill runs to the ring to help Tiffany while she was being double-teamed. Nick Aldis is out to do a Teddy Long special and makes a tag team match for later that night. Fraction tells Carmelo Hayes that The Miz is a schemer, which brings out The Miz to protest. Hayes defends The Miz's awesomeness and says their team is awesome. Miz and Mello beat the Motor City Machine Guns when Miz steals a pin on Sabin while he's distracted with Shelley doing a slingshot dive to the floor to hit Hayes. Really good tag team match. Again, Motor City Machine Guns, one of the best tag teams ever, getting to prove it in the WWE finally. Next up, Jimmy Uso is shown backstage. It's his birthday, and he's going to be a dad. He's very excited. Sammy comes in for big congrats, but the MFTs and Solo Sikoa show up. Sikoa tells Jim he can name the baby after Uncle Solo, but Sammy tells Solo he needs to worry about holding on to his title. Solo and the MFTs leave. Next up is Charlotte versus Piper Niven. Piper has Alba Fire and Chelsea in her corner, but there's no Alexa for Charlotte. The damn numbers game is too much, and Piper gets a surprising victory over Charlotte. Backstage, Michin interrupts Kiana James and Julia, asking for a match. James says that Michin will have to go through her first, which Michin has no problem with. John Cena's music hits and a huge pop from him. He's in the middle of talking when Logan Paul interrupts. Cena to allow, the place just erupted in boos when Logan Paul showed up. Paul and Cena go back and forth before Paul knocks off Cena's hat and gets an AA for his troubles. Backstage, Jade Cargill tells Tiffany that they're working together tonight, but she's coming for Tiff's title afterwards. Logan Paul runs into Drew McIntyre backstage, and McIntyre praises Paul's ability. Street Profits take on the MFTs with Tonga Loa and JC Mateo stepping in the ring for the MFTs. Solo and Tala Tonga are outside. Profits get a great win, look strong as we continue to find out who will challenge the Wyatt Six for the tag team titles at Clash in Paris. Aleister Black versus Ron Killings is up next, but Killings pops up on the screen to say he flew to Dublin, Georgia, but he did get someone to fill in for him, and then that's when Damian Priest's music hits. He attacks Aleister. The two are pulled apart by security. McIntyre then interrupts commentary, talking about how they have no update on Cody Rhodes. McIntyre says the update is Cody Rhodes is a little bitch, and that the next time they fight, Drew is taking the title back because Cody has no friends. And as soon as he says that, an RKO out of nowhere. Randy Orton stands tall after a surprise attack. Crowd is psyched. Next up, we get a backstage segment with Becky and Nia arguing, but they seem to be okay as they make their way to the ring. Next week will be a number one contenders match between Team Aus Him and the Street Profits. Winner gets the tag team championship shot at Clash in Paris. Main event has Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill defeating Becky Lynch and Nia Jax. Jax takes the pinfall after doing a blind tag and taking a powerbomb from Jade. Tiff hits the prettiest moonsault ever, and a top rope splash from Jade gets them the win. Backstage, Nick Aldis tells John Cena that he heard from Brock Lesnar, but before he can say anything, Logan Paul comes out of nowhere, sucker punches Cena to knock the GOAT out cold. Next up is AEW Collision from Glasgow. Six-man tag action starts off with the Don Callis family of Rocky Romero, Josh Alexander, Lance Archer, and Hechicero, with Don Callis versus Skyflight and Hiromu Takahashi. Archer does not participate in the match. He's just outside being an enforcer. Finish comes when Takahashi hits the time bomb on Romero for the win. Kyle Fletcher came out, stared down Takahashi for the match on Sunday. Get a package for the Forbidden Door 4-way for the TBS title with all four participants. Then a hook vignette. Megan Bayne with Penelope Ford versus Isla Dawn. This is Isla Dawn's first appearance on TV since she's been released by the E. Megan Bayne gets a squash on Isla Dawn. Willow Nightingale comes out to get to her match, and Bayne and Ford bump into her. Then it's Willow Nightingale and Queen Aminata versus Triangle of Madness, represented by Sky Blue and Julia Hart, with Tekla on the outside. Aminata hits the running knee on Blue for the win, but as soon as the bell rings, Tekla comes in to attack. Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford come in, and then Harley Cameron comes in and tries to help, but is taken out before Chris Statlander comes down and faces Stand Tall. Daniel Garcia is backstage and says that while he's disappointed he won't be wrestling for the IWGP World title, he will be there for his friend Nigel McGuinness. Next up, Max Caster does Who Can Survive 5 with the best wrestler alive. And out comes Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. gets a quick win. Nigel McGuinness comes down to have a stare down, and they tease not shaking hands, and they do. And then as they leave, Anthony Bowens runs down and starts beating up Max. Billy Gunn runs down and pulls off Anthony Bowens before yelling at him. Harley Cameron and Chris Statlander have a vignette backstage where the Death Riders show up to say, here's $100,000 since the AEW people were unable to do it because it's supposed to come out of the Bucks money. Then Tomohiro Ishii versus Konosuke Takeshita was next. Brutal match, two big meaty men slap and meet, and then Takeshita gets the victory. Big Bill with Bounty Hunter Brian Keith versus Mark Andrews is next. Big Bill gets a squash. He chokeslammed Andrews through two chairs, and then the Bounty Hunter and Big Bill go in the crowd to watch the next match, which is the Gates of Agony versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. Gates of Agony has Ricochet. Ricochet goes on commentary Gates of Agony hits the Open Gates finisher on Gibson for the win. Gabe Kidd has a promo backstage and says he's bringing Bullet Club War Dogs to Forbidden Door, and they're coming for the AEW Trios title during 0 Hour. Main event is the Young Bucks, who were known as Rod and Todd on their Cairo, versus Paragon. Look, these guys have wrestled so many times, they could have a great match in their sleep. Bucks get the victory after a Don Callis distraction and Okada coming in for a Rainmaker on Strong and then a TK driver. Post-match, beatdown continues till Swerve makes a save for a little bit before Okada goes after Swerve's knee. Show ends with a Rainmaker standing tall. Next up is Forbidden Door in the O2 Arena in London on August 24th. 0 Hour saw Yuya Uemura, El Desperado, Paragon beat crew of Antonio Andretti, Leo Rush, the Don Callis family represented by Hechicero and Josh Alexander. Then we got Gates of Agony and Ricochet beating Jet Speed and Michael Oku. 8-woman tag match with Megan Bain was escorted by Penelope Ford with the Triangle of Madness. Julia Hart, Sky Blue, and Tekla beating Harley Cameron, Chris Statlander, Queen Amarada, and Willow Nightingale. Young Bucks have a backstage segment. They talk about getting the most dangerous weapons they can find for the Lights Out Steel Cage match. The final match of 0 Hour is the Ops, Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs beating the Bullet Club War Dogs of Clark Connors, Drilla Maloney, and Robbie X to retain the title, the Trios title. First match is Cope and Christian versus Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Killswitch, of course, is the name Luchasaurus goes by that was given to him by Chris Cage. Then we get Kyle Fletcher beating Hiromu Takahashi in a really fast match. After that, we have the women's fatal four-way match for the TBS title. Mercedes and Alex Windsor have a lot of moments that teases a future feud between them. Nigel McGuinness gets escorted to the ring by British legends Johnny Saint and Marty Jones. He lost a great technical wrestling match to Zack Sabre Jr., the IWGP champion. Great match, highly recommend it. So after that, Shivani announces the new pro wrestling attendance record for the O2 at 18,982. So I would not be surprised for WWE to try and break that their next visit to the O2. Queen Aminata and Thekla brawl backstage to the ring when Julia and Sky Blue attack Aminata. Then Jamie Hayter's music hits and she returns to make the save. O2 went nuts for the Brits. Triple Threat Tag Team Championship match between the Hurt Syndicate, FTR, Bandito, and Brody King, a.k.a. Brodito, show Brody King and Bandito as your new champs after the Gates of Agony take out the Hurt Syndicate and brawl to the back. Unified title match with Kazuchika Okada versus Swerve Strickland has Okada retain. Again, what would you expect anything less from these two? Great match. After the match, Wardlow comes out and lays out both Nana, security, and then Swerve Strickland. Wardlow hugs Don Callis and Takeshita approved. However, as we said, Wardlow may have torn his pec clotheslining Prince Nana with the lariat. Next up is the women's title match. Toni Storm gets the win over Athena. Great match. Don't know where we're going next. Could be Jamie Hayter, could be Megan Bain. We'll see where Tony's going to face next. Men's AEW Championship match is a solid match. Ref bumps, Mark Briscoe involvement to cost MJF. It seemed to drag in spots, but Hangman gets the victory. MJF still has the contract to cash in when he wants to, so they can tease that. Also have possibility of someone from the Callis family challenging Hangman. Next up, the Lights Out Cage match. The faces get the win. Tanahashi is the only one who really doesn't take much damage during the match. After the match, Ospreay gets his big moment before the home country. Death Riders jumped him, locked him in the cage. They Pillmanize him. Then they start trying to raise the cage, which allow the Ops and all to run in the save. Everyone is sad and serious as the show ends. Ospreay's going away for neck surgery, so they write off that he gets Pillmanized on his neck by the Death Riders. My problem with this whole show, This show needs to be 3 to 4 hours max. This was 7 hours of wrestling. This is pretty much every AEW pay-per-view is treated as if it's a WrestleMania. Back when Vince did WrestleMania. And I understand you want to get your bang for your buck, but good Lord, that was a long, long time for wrestling. Thank goodness for watching it at home so I could go to the bathroom and pause it when I needed to. Next up, NXT Heatwave. Opening match is the triple threat number one contender match between Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Lola Vice. Lola Vice gets the victory. Then next up is tag titles match with Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox representing Dark State against Tank and Tank. Dark State gets the victory. They have some titles now. Let's see where they go from here. Backstage, we get a culling segment saying they're now going to focus on going after the No Quarter Catch crew. And then Ava says she isn't happy with Lexis King for blinding Miles Bourne. So there will be a blindfold match this week on NXT. Triple threat match for the TNA Knockouts title is won by Ash by Elegance. That's her first singles title and a major singles title in any company. Very happy for her. I've always liked Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, whatever you want to call her. I've enjoyed her. I think she's very talented. Glad she's getting her time to shine. Get a backstage segment with Javon Evans and Ricky Saints. Then we get Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace. Great match. Blake Monroe wins by putting Jordan Grace on a hitting her face on an exposed turnbuckle. This is weird to me. Jordan Grace hasn't really won anything important since she has showed up in NXT. She's made out to be very important, but she hasn't won anything. I don't know if they're kind of doing the Sami Zayn route with her, where she's the underdog from the underground, and everyone just, they build her up as a wrestler who can't win the big one. So when she finally does, it's a big story. That'd be pretty cool. Jada Parker is shown backstage angry when Last Legend comes and mocks her, and they start brawling. JC Jane is backstage. She isn't happy with her loss, blames Fatal Attraction when Lola Vice comes in, and then asks what's the problem. Jane says there's no problem, but Vice says there will be a problem for her at No Mercy when she gets her title shot. Zarya and Sol Ruka show up to mock Fatal Influence, and the heels leave. Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele versus Chelsea Green and Ethan Page is next. This was major crowd win behind Team Canada. Secret Hervis interference, everything goes. Team Canada gets the win. Ethan Page, Chelsea Green stand tall. Josh Briggs comes in to see Obafemi and says he's being Obafemi's worn down by the responsibility of the championship. And Briggs says that he's next in line for the title. Ava then announced a new Speed Titles tournament on NXT with Sol Ruka defending at No Mercy. A tournament is coming to crown a new opponent. Main event was really good. We have a 2-ref situation. Javon hit 2 cutters on Oba, gets a 3 count, while when a second ref comes down because the first ref is outside the ring, knocked out. As the first ref is getting up to see the 3 count, he sees that Obafemi's foot was under the rope, waves off that. Javon Evans takes his eyes off Oba, then Oba literally throws Javon Evans over the top rope onto the announcer's table, and it just looked nasty. Oba goes out, brings Evans in, hits the fall from Grace, and Femi gets the victory. Ricky Saints come out for a stare down to end the show. Fun match. Raw is in Birmingham, England on the 25th. Roman cuts a promo, gets interrupted by Bronson Reed, sets up their match for Clash in Paris. Judgment Day is looking for Dirty Dom. All right, we're going really long here, so we're just going to get you the winners. Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough is next. JD McDonough wins for distraction finish from AJ Styles, allowing Dragon Lee to hit the Operation Dragon on JD Lee. Penta takes out Kofi Kingston. Takes on Kofi Kingston, but loses due to distraction from Big G and Xavier Woods. Kofi gets the victory. Adam Pearce tells Stephanie Vaquer that she's still the number one contender for the women's world title match, but it can't happen in Paris as the title is technically vacant. He'll come up with a match. He just needs a week to set everything up. Vaquer isn't happy, but she understands. Becky cut a promo running down Birmingham and says a cringy line about Ozzy's death. Kelly Osbourne actually saw about it and tweeted and asked for an apology after the show. Nikki came down. They continued to trash talk. Roxanne Perez versus Raquel Rodriguez is the next matchup. Great match between two, with Roxy focusing on the right knee of Rhea. Finish sees Rhea using a headbutt and Riptide for the pin. After the match, Rodriguez and Perez attack Rhea, but Io runs down to ring, make a save. The AJ Styles and Finn Balor clash in a former Bullet Club leaders match. A really great match that sees Finn miss a coup de grace and AJ turn it into a Styles clash. Jey Uso talks with Roman. Roman tells Jay not to trust anyone that's not family when he heads to the Fatal 4-Way match. Main events, LA Knight versus Braun Breaker, with all 4 members of the Fatal 4-Way match getting involved. Division starts to attack after they've been cleared out of the ring, but Punk, Knight, and Jay start taking each other out, and Jay stands tall at the end as Rollins says Braun and Bronson don't need to get involved because the challengers are taking themselves out. NXT Heatwave Fallout at the Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando. Opening of the show is Ricky Saints saying that he should get the next shot for the number one contender. Josh Briggs says he should have the shot. Then Ava makes the number one contenders match between the two as the main event. Kalani Jordan beats Blake Monroe when Jordan Grace runs in to attack Blake Monroe. Monroe runs away to the back where the ring runs away, then comes back into the ring, and Kalani Jordan hits the one-of-a-kind for a quick victory. Lexis King cheats to win the blindfold match against Miles Bourne. Ren Sinclair and Gindel Gray lose to the Culling. Josh Briggs and Ricky Saints, great main event. And Saints gets the victory to be the number one contender. Lola, Vice, Soruka, and Zarya are all wearing matching shirts for the 6-woman tag match. Jada Parker comes in to congratulate Vice on her number one contendership. Oba is in the ring staring down Ricky Saints. Then Dark States interrupt. And then Hank and Tank run down to even the odds. So it's Dark State versus Oba, Femi, Ricky Saints, and Hank and Tank. Get a package explaining the speed tournament. Next up is Alba Fire versus Tyra May Steele. We get the victory for Steele after a distraction roll-up. Then post-match, Green goes after Steele. Tavion Heights comes in for the save, but gets laid out by Peg, and he covers him with the Canadian flag. Hank and Tank go into Ava's office, ask for a shot at Dark State. She says they can have them in an 8-man match next week with Ricky Saints and Oba Femi. JC Jane is mad about losing the Knockouts title. And then the other members of Fatal Influence argue over who should get the Speed title. Main event sees Lola Vice get the victory for Fatal Influence. It was a really awesome match there showing women's wrestling. Next up is Dynamite from the 2300 Arena in Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. FTR and Stoke open the show talking smack, and then we find out that Cope and Cage sneak up and attack them, and it gets made official all out in Toronto. FTR versus Cope and Christian. Mox versus Daniel Garcia is next. Mox gets the victory, and after the match, Yuta gets on the mic and turns down Darby Allin's challenge for All Out. After the match, after commercial break, Yuta's talking trash about how the Death Riders have taken out Ospreay, Chuck Taylor, and Bryan Danielson. And then Hook's music comes out, and he lays out Yuta. MJF cut a promo about how Mark Briscoe cost him the title, and that Tony Khan is not allowing him to use his contract for a week, but he'll get his revenge later on Briscoe and Hangman, and he's going to come for Hangman's soul. Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne take on Chris Statlander and Harley Cameron. Good victory for the faces. Willow Nightingale runs in to help take out or even the odds against Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. Harley Cameron tries to negotiate a peace between Statlander and Willow Nightingale after Statlander gets knocked into Willow Nightingale by Megan Bayne. Monet cuts a really weird promo where she doesn't do much but dance and celebrate her championships and say that she'll beat Alex Windsor. Mark Briscoe cuts a promo, talking about the importance of the 2300 arena, says he wants the TNT title, and he's coming for Kyle Fletcher. Next up is Don Callis' family of Hechicero, Kazuchika Okada, Josh Alexander, Kinosuke Takeshita versus Jet Speed and Brodito. Whole match is revolving around Okada and Takeshita tension, trying to one-up each other. Josh Alexander gets the pinfall on Speedball for the Callis family win. It's looking like they're trying to turn Takeshita face. We'll see where they go from here. Hangman cuts a promo next, gives a shout out to Ospreay, and then he is addressed by the Don Callis family, and they jump Hangman. Hangman is bailed out by Kenny Omega and some other faces. Hangman and Kenny stand tall as the Callis family retreated. Next up, we get Tony Storm promo hyping up Mina Shirakawa's match against Athena at Death Before Dishonor. Trio titles are on the line next. The Ops versus the Gates of Agony and Ricochet. The Ops get the victory after the Hurt Syndicate come out and brawl with the Gates of Agony. Main event is a Falls Count Anywhere match between Darby and Claudio Castagnoli. Lots of violence, and again, it's the typical Darby Allin match. Darby gets beat up as much as possible before rallying to get the win. After he gets the win, Death Riders run out and attack. Allin manages to make Mox and Gabe Kidd collide before escaping. Next up, we're at the LDC Arena in Lyon, France. For SmackDown, we get a recap of Paul and Cena from last weekend. Get Street Profits and B-Fab warming up. And Bo Dallas shows up saying the Wyatt Six are family, and when the Profits come for the titles, they'll find out if they're really brothers. Women's Tag Team title match is next, but Piper Niven is out of action, so Chelsea Green subs in. They end up taking Charlotte out before the match starts. Bliss does a singles match, but against Chelsea. Chelsea is rolled up by Bliss, but after the match, Fire jumps in and attacks Bliss. Charlotte tries to limp down to the ring, but her knee gives out, and Chelsea and Alba Fire stand tall after the match. Sammy says he feels confident about the main event will become the U.S. champion in France. Cody and Brandy announce they have another daughter. They show pics of the happy family. Backstage segment between Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Michin versus Kiana James is next, where if Michin wins, she gets a shot at Julia for the United States title, the women's United States title. Really quick match, less than 10 seconds. Michin wins with a roll-up. Post-match, Julia attacks Michin and throws her into the steps. Drew McIntyre promo next, where he says Randy shouldn't be helping. Randy Orton should be helping Cody, and then they brawl a little bit when Randy comes out. And before the Orton or after Orton and Drew get separated, Orton can't get to Drew McIntyre, so he RKO security and Agent Hurricane Helms. Backstage, Bo Dallas teases dissension between Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. Nick Aldis yells at Randy, and then get a little comedy bit with R-Truth. Number one contender tag team match, see the Street Profits get the victory after the Wyatt Six distract Miz. Jade Cargill surprises Tiffany Stratton in the back and says she's the number one contender. She promises she'll show Tiff that they were never on the same level. Backstage segment shows Solo prepping for his match, saying he's ready to take out Sami Zayn. Announcers recap the card for Clash in Paris. Main event has Sami Zayn winning the United States Championship away from Solo Sikoa. Don't know where the MFTs and Solo go from here. Wondering if this is a test run for Sami so he can finally get that world title shot at WrestleMania like lots of people are hoping for. Next up is AEW Collision from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Daniel Garcia takes on Blake Christian. Garcia gets a quick win, and he challenges Mox to another match for next week. Wheeler Yuta comes out, says challenge is accepted. Ishii and Kyle O'Reilly versus Kyle Fletcher and Josh Alexander, the Don Callis family's next. Distraction finish allows Alexander to hit a low blow on Ishii and a straight jacket pile driver on him for the win. Roddy comes out to check on Kyle O'Reilly and attempts to lead Kyle away from checking on a fallen Ishii. Jamie Hayter and Thekla are brawling in the loading dock, and they get separated. Then Thekla dives off the dock onto Hayter and security. Mother Wayne tries to make peace between Killswitch and Kip Sabian. Hologram wrestles Jay Lethal and wins, moves his record to 31-0. A glitch is shown, and we get the word soon for a red hologram coming up, so we'll get a clone. Ricochet and the Gates of Agony cut a promo, say they have business with the Hurt Syndicate. Alex Winder wrestles Ashley Vox next, and makes quick work of her, cuts a post-match promo, responding to Mercedes' promo on Dynamite. Next, Lexi Nair comes out to moderate a conversation between Don Callis and Mark Briscoe. Callis promises no physicality. Briscoe asks Callis why his challenge to Kyle Fletcher hasn't been responded to. Callis says that he and the family are busy because they want the AEW World Championship from Hangman. Callis says he'll tell Briscoe he can pick one of the many members of the family to face him, and Briscoe agrees, but only if Callis would give Briscoe a chance at Fletcher's TNT Championship if he won. Callis agreed to stipulation, but didn't seem too worried about his chances. Next up, FTR take on JD Drake and Adam Priest. Let's go New South boys. Dax and Cash make their way to the ring without Stokely. Pretty good match for FTR. They struggle a little bit, but get the victory. Out comes Stoke, and he talks trash as FTR continue to beat up Priest and Drake. And then Stokely says that FTR will end Cope's. Harwood grabs the mic and blames Cope and Christian for Stokely's absence, talking smack about that, saying that FTR will end Cope and Christian's careers in Toronto, but don't make you end your lives. Sammy Guevara's Death Before Dishonor is reclapped, including him joining La Faction in Grenoble, and taking out the Van Eriks. Next up, we get another Don Callis promo. Big Bill wrestles Juice Robinson. Big Bill wins with the help from the bounty hunter Brian Keith. Skyflight cut a promo saying they're kicking off the Altitude Era. Gabe Kidd cuts a promo on Darby Allin. Main event is Timeless Tommy Storm, interim ROH Women's World TV Champion Mina Shirakawa and Queen Aminata versus Billy Stark, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart. Julia Hart gets busted open in her nose. Finish comes with Starks tagging in, catching a back elbow to the head, and a glamorous Mina for the win. Tekla attacks Mina after the match. Tony Storm and Queen Aminata try to help, but they're taken out by the other members of Triangle of Madness. Heels stand tall as we head to a preview of next week's Collision. Next up is WWE's Clash in Paris from the Paris La Défense Arena in Paris, France. This happened on Sunday, August 31st. Opening match is Roman win against Bronson Reed. However, Bronson attacks Roman after the match. Braun Breaker attacks Roman after the match. He gets tsunamied several times, then put on a stretcher and tsunamied several times. So this is their way of riding Roman out so he can film Street Fighter. Jelly Roll is shown backstage, is shown in the crowd. Then we get a backstage segment where Adam Pearce ejects Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker from the arena tonight. If they come back, Pearce is suspending them both without pay. Up next, Wyatt 6 versus Street Profits. Street Profits fall to the damn numbers game of the Wyatt 6. Dissension shown between the Profits. Winner Women's Intercontinental Championship match is next with Becky Lynch beating Nikki Bella. Then Jey Uso insists he can still go. He tried to help Roman earlier, but ended up getting several spears for his trouble. Rusev and Sheamus in the Donnybrook match. Rusev wins with a brutal acolyte. It's the first time that the accolade has been applied, and Sheamus tapped out. The previous time he did it, Sheamus passed out. Cena vs. Logan Paul is a banger. Was a great match. I'd say the match of the night. Cena gets the win. Shows why he's going to be missed after retirement. They announced the official attendance and breaks the record set by Taylor Swift at the arena. Fatal 4-Way is up next. Finish comes when Punk is about to get curb stomped on a chair. Punk pulls his head away, and Seth stomps the chair, hurting his ankle. Punk puts him up, puts him in a GTS, falls down, catches him again. Set up for a second GTS when a masked person sneaks in and low blows CM Punk. Turns out to be Becky Lynch. Seth hits a stomp for the win. Rollins and Lynch stand tall after the match, and that is it for Clash in Paris. Monday Night Raw on Labor Day was from the La Défense Arena in Paris, France. A recap of Clash in Paris, and CM Punk's waiting for Seth. Jay opens the show saying he wants a shot at the Vision. LA Knight says, I do too. They cost us the match. Have a recap of Io Sky and the Kabuki Warriors having issues. Io tries to make peace with the Warriors. Seems to work. Next up, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez take on the Kabuki Warriors. Kabuki Warriors show why they're one of the best tag teams in the women's division, get the victory. Backstage, Adam Pearce announces that Io Sky will wrestle Stephanie Vaquer at WrestlePalooza for the Women's World Championship. Finn Balor with JD McDonough takes on Dragon Lee. Lee falls to the coup de grace, and Finn gets the win in front of a hot crowd for the Judgment Day. Nikki Bella meets Io backstage. Kabuki Warriors interrupt. Nikki's upset and leaves. Warriors tell Io they want to help her win at WrestlePalooza. Sky isn't happy about it. New Day with Big G, Grayson Waller take on the War Raiders and Penta. Penta hits a Mexican Destroyer on Woods for the win in a perfectly cromulent match. Rhea Ripley's backstage, says she wants the Women's World title back, but the Kabuki Warriors interrupt. Asuka tells Rhea to stay away from Io and shoves her. Rhea ain't happy, and Asuka leaves when Kyrie isn't sure what to do. Roxanne Perez then asks Adam Pearce why she's not in the WrestlePalooza World title match. Pearce tells Perez she and Raquel just lost, but he'll consider it. Live Valkyria comes in and argues with the Judgment Day women. Pearce tells Lyra that Bailey will be back soon. Lyra complains, and Pearce gives her a match next week with the Judgment Day. AJ Styles and Dominic Mysterio wrestle for the Intercontinental Championship. Finish comes when Grande Americano Ludwig Kaiser edition gives a loaded mask headbutt to the ribs of AJ, allowing Dominic to hit the frog splash for the win. You get a recap of Roman getting beat up by Bronson Reed in the Vision. LA Knight promo backstage says he'll go through anyone to get to the World Championship, including Jey Uso. Rhea's talking to Punk, and Adam Pearce comes by to tell Punk that Seth is in the building. Punk says he's going to handle it. Punk comes out, calls out Rollins, but gets Becky Lynch instead. Punk calls Rollins a coward for sending out his wife. Rollins appears at the top of the ramp, and Punk goes to get him, but Becky cuts him off, proceeds to slap around Punk, and Punk doesn't respond physically. She then starts putting her head in his chest, slapping him some more. Punk says he promises to make her regret that and leaves. Lynch mocks Punk as he walks away. Punk shows restraint and not attacking Lynch. Post-commercial, Punk is cut off in pursuit by Adam Pearce, who tells Punk that Rollins has left the building. Punk asks where SmackDown is, and Pearce lets him know it's in Chicago. Main event is LA Knight and Jey Uso versus The Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Breaker hits a super spear on Jey Uso for the win. The Vision beat down Knight and Uso. Jimmy Uso runs down with the chair to save his brother and help bring Jey to his feet while LA Knight is laid out. Next is NXT from Capitol Wrestling Center in Orlando, Florida. Opening match is Last Legend and Jada Parker. Parker hits the last extension for the win, but post-match, Parker hits a hypnotic through the barricade on Legend, so their feud's going to continue. Ariana Grace and Blake Monroe bond backstage before Joan Grace enters, and Monroe heads for the hills. Kelly Armstrong is in the locker room, and she's not happy with Jordan Grace's intrusion. Javon Evans is out for a chat, and he says he's down after losing at Heatwave. Then we see a motorcycle arrive to the building, and a gong sounds, and instead of the Taker, we get Josh Briggs. Briggs says that Evans is everything he hates about NXT because he, instead of demanding a rematch, Evans is in the ring whining. Briggs tells Evans he's good, but he's never going to beat Obafemi. Then they start brawling. A big boot drops Evans, and Briggs chokeslams Evans through an open chair. Get a package of TNA's Xia Brookside, since she's about to wrestle Candice LeRae in the Speed Title Tournament. Hank and Tank are back with Ricky Saints and Obafemi. Hank and Tank are trying for pump up everybody, but Ricky and Oba ain't having it. Saints tells Oba to be locked in, and Femi tells Saints not to worry about it, worry about himself. Women's Speed Title number 1 contenders tournament first round match has Candice LeRae win at 2:37 with the Tornado DDT and Lion Salt over Xia Brookside. Josh Briggs bullies the locker room, and Chase U stands up to him, getting Andre Chase in a match he doesn't want to be in with Josh Briggs. Fatal Influence talks to Ava about wrestling, wanting a shot at the women's tag titles. Ava says, cool, and makes a triple threat tag match with the winners getting a shot at the tag titles. Next up, Dark State isn't happy with how they've been treated and cut a great fired up promo talking about the disrespect they feel. Trick Williams cuts a promo and said he's the greatest TNA star of all time and the hottest NXT superstar to ever live, which brings out DIY with their original music. They talk about their 10-year anniversary of their NXT debuts coming up. Reference Finn Balor, Bayley, The Undisputed Era, Bobby Roode, a lot of greats there. Then Johnny and Tommaso said they were both NXT 2-time champs and how much pride they felt, even when Tommaso would get a little grumpy after the shows ended. Trick says they were good, but he's that much better. Fans start chanting for Mello. Trick tells them to shut up. Shoves Ciampa, Ciampa earning himself a meet in the middle from DIY. Crowd gets pumped. Big pop for that. Ava talks to Javon Evans, says if he doesn't interfere in the match tonight, he can face Josh Briggs next week. Get a video package of Evolve's Kaylee Armstrong. Tavion Heights gives Ethan Page back the Canadian flag. Says he's cool with Canada, but not with one specific Canadian. They have a flag match next week. Kaylee Armstrong wrestles Jordan Grace, gets a quick squash by Grace. After the match, Blake Monroe runs down for a brawl. Security breaks it up before Monroe gets busted. But after the match, Monroe is shown to be busted open and shaken up. Lola Vice package next week where she's at her childhood home in Miami. Talks about family meaning a lot to her, and her family is proud of her. We'll get more vignettes as we build up to No Mercy. Andre Chase fights well but loses to Josh Briggs. Briggs is being built as a monster right now. Briggs then beats up the rest of Chase U after the match. Trick Williams will see DIY next week. We've got an 8-man tag match for the main event of Ricky Saints and Obafemi and Hank and Tank versus Dark State. Finish sees Femi and Saints brawling to the back, leaving Hank and Tank alone with Dark State. Hank was about to be triple power bomb, but Tank makes the save. James of Dark State grabs Hank by the throat and asks Hank if he has anything to say. Hank says, Joe Hendry. You say his name, he appears. Joe Hendry shows up, gets distraction there, allowing Hank and Tank to hit the power slam running shoulder combo for the win. Hank and Tank and Joe Hendry stand tall after the match. That's it for NXT. AEW Dynamite back in the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Show is being introed by Excalibur. He's running down the card. Gabe Kidd interrupts. He says he wants Darby Allin now. They start brawling, and basically all the Death Riders come out. The Ops comes out. Hook comes out. Everybody comes out. We just get a big old brawl to the back. Kidd and Allin are brawling in the back. Allin chokes out Kidd, puts him in a body bag connected to a truck, and drives off, dragging Kidd in the body bag. Get a recap of Alex Windsor and Mercedes Moné for the TBS title. Great match between Mercedes and Alex Windsor. Statement maker is countered by Windsor, who gets rolled up by Monet for the victory. Post-match, Mercedes puts Windsor back in the statement maker, which gets a returning Rio to make the save. Rio kicks Monet to the floor, picks up the title, and it looks like we're getting this match at TBS title match at All Out. Hook shown in the back. He's upset that he's replaced in the Ops. Joe says the Ops are about opportunities, and Joe made the call, but he'll still have Hook's back whether he wants it or not. Hook is pissed and leaves. Mark Briscoe talks about is out in the middle of the 2300 Arena, saying his love for this arena. He wants Kyle Fletcher in the TNT title. So he has to beat a member of the Callis family to get a shot. Callis says that Mark has to beat Konesuke Takeshita on Collision. Takeshita comes out for the stare down, but Briscoe wants to fight now. So he gets Lance Archer. Archer looks like a monster heel, and it allows Mark Briscoe to overcome the odds to get the win. Toni Storm says she knows the history of this building, and she's ready to be the baddest bitch it has ever seen. Now someone needs to come up and come after the title. Chris Statlander, Harley Cameron backstage. Harley takes off her protective cat mask that's got her face paint on it and has her face painted underneath with another kitty. They're ready to win more, but Wheeler Yuta comes and says that he's letting them know the Death Riders have their back. Marina Shafir comes in for a stare down with Statlander, and Statlander tells Marina to tell Mox she got their message. Rodito wrestles Yuta Wheeler and Claudio Castagnoli in a non-title match. Mox gets involved but taken out by a returning Darby Allin. Brawl allows Brody to destroy Yuta, and Brodito get the victory. Okada says he's happy with his win last week with Takeshita, but Takeshita needs to realize that Okada is the crown jewel of the Don Callis family. Hurt Syndicate says they're not sure what happened to Ricochet and don't want the Gates of Agony to be turned into a punchline. The Hurt Syndicate accepts the challenge and they're ready to give Ricochet and the Gates a beating. Get a video recap of Garcia and Mox. Stoke comes out and cuts a promo saying FTR is ready to take out Christian and Cage and Adam Copeland, and it's on for All Out in Toronto. Main event is the Young Bucks and Don Callis family, represented by Josh Alexander and Kyle Fletcher, versus Jet Speed with Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page. Bucks are able to get the victory there. Kyle Fletcher hits a tombstone on Kevin Knight. The villains keep up the beating, and the rest of the Don Callis family comes out to help. Fletcher hits a brainbuster on Page through an open chair, and that is set up on ringside. Then Omega gets hit with a brainbuster, and a brainbuster through a chair, and a brainbuster through a table. Omega is put in a net brace to end the show. Now we're on to Friday, the 5th of September, SmackDown from the Allstate Arena in Rosemont, Illinois. Cena comes out to the ring, cuts a great promo recapping all his moments he's had in this building. Debuting against Kurt Angle, the WrestleMania, CM Punk and him tearing it down, Money in the Bank 2011. This place means something to him. This is going to be his last time at SmackDown and last time in Chicago as a WWE superstar. Sami Zayn's music hits, and he actually got booed, which was shocking. Zayn then recaps his main roster debut was against Cena for the United States Championship in the U.S. Open Challenge. Zayn says that with Cena's permission, he would like to bring it back. Cena gives him his blessing and starts to leave, but Zayn says he'd be honored if Cena answered it. Not next month, not next week, but tonight, right here in Chicago. So we get a great match between Cena and Zayn. We get a pop-up powerbomb homage for Kevin Owens from Cena, an angle slam homage from Cena, a go to sleep homage from Cena, and a Roman Reigns spear homage. An Edge spear homage from Cena. Match ends when Cena has hit a super AA on Zayn, and they're both incapacitated in the ring. Brock Lesnar's music hits. He comes out, pulls the ref out of the ring. It's F5 to Sammy, F5 to Cena, another F5 to Cena. The fans are booing and giving hell to Brock as he heads to the back for commercial. Back from commercial, Brock is shown in the back saying that he'll see Cena at WrestlePalooza. It was just the first hour, so they crammed one match and a lot of wrestling and John Cena in the final hour. Next up, Carmelo Hayes approaches Nick Aldis for something, but's interrupted by Miz, who asks about a tag team title match. He says he'll consider it and hurries off. Melo's like, "Dude, I wanted something for me." And then we get a video of Becky Lynch showing up in the arena. Get a recap of Aleister Black and Damian Priest. Their match is next. Aleister Black attacks Damian Priest before the match starts, beating up pretty badly, but they go to commercial. Priest says he wants to make it to the ring. Black controls most of the match. Priest rallies and is about to put Black in the South of Heaven, but Black grabs the ref, causing Priest to let go. Black puts the ref in between them. As the ref moves, Black mash from Aleister for the victory. Get a video package of Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. Tiffany Stratton backstage saying she's going to shut up Jade Cargill next week. We cut immediately to Cargill backstage watching the monitor. She says she's ready, but she gets interrupted by Nia Jax. Jade tells Nia to get out of her way or catch these hands. Braun Strowman reference. Nick Aldis comes to see Becky Lynch, who is enthusiastically greeting Aldis. He then warns her that Punk is here, and she says it'll be fine. Get a Women's United States title match next with Julia and Mishin. Kiana James is with Julia and distracts Mishin. Mishin hits a Hurricane Rodder driver on James, but as she gets up from it, Julia hits a running knee for the win. Post-match, James beats down Mishin while Julia laughs. Recap of Alba Fire and Chelsea Green attacking Charlotte last week. Charlotte's in the training room and Alexa Bliss comes in saying the power of friendship will heal her pain as she's dressed up as a doctor. Charlotte talks to Lily and realizes she may be losing it. Then we get to the final segment of the night. Seth Rollins is up in the stands in a luxury box with the mic. He says he's ready to kill the legend of CM Punk. Becky runs down all the teams in Chicago except the Bears because Rollins is a huge Bears fan. Punk interrupts. Rollins is in the stand waving at Punk. Punk says he's tired of Rollins hiding behind everyone, and Lynch asks how his jaw is feeling. Fans start chanting for AJ Lee. Becky tells him to shut up, but Punk says they can keep chanting her name. Punk runs down a list of women he could have got to help him with his Lynch problem. Lynch then starts slapping Punk again, saying that no one will help him. Punk rolls out of the ring and said he wanted to avoid this situation because he would never put his hands on a lady. Thankfully, he knows someone who will, and AJ Lee's music hits. Massive pop. Chicago's going nuts. AJ does her whole skip to the ring, skip around the ring, gets in the ring, sits on the ring ropes, and then goes in and just beats the ever-living stuffing out of Becky Lynch. Rollins runs down from the stands, trips over the barrier to pull Lynch out of the ring, but AJ gives her a massive slap, and Becky falls out of the ring. Seth carries Becky up the ring as AJ and Punk look happy together. After the show, we find out that AJ Lee has signed a multi-year full-time contract with the WWE. She's been gone away for nearly 11 years, and man, I'm glad to see her back. Next up is the final show we're doing for this episode. AEW Collision from the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mox versus Garcia again. Mox counters Garcia's roll-up with another roll-up for the victory. Post-match, Garcia is crushed and takes a mic away from Tony Schiavone, saying he's tired of making the same mistakes, and it's been a good 5 years, but sometimes good just isn't good enough. You get a recap of the main event from Dynamite and the post-match with Kenny Omega being laid out by the Don Callis family. Big Bill cuts a promo talking about hitting rock bottom. Then he says the city of Philly sucks and that he comes from a real city, a tough city, New York. And he calls out another New Yorker for a match, Eddie Kingston. FTR with Stokely Hathaway takes on Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. FTR takes a while, but eventually takes out the inferior team. Post-match, the beating continues by FTR while Stokely talks trash about Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Get an Outrunners promo while they're out in Brother Nature. They run into some boys and Dalton Castle. So we're getting an alliance between Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. I'm all for it. John Moxley cuts a promo on Darby Allin, says the match is on for All Out. Triangle of Madness, Tekla, Sky Blue, and Julia Hart with Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Toni Storm, Mina Shirakawa, Chris Statlander, and Harley Cameron. Fun tag match that basically broke down, became a tornado tag match. Stat gets the win by hitting an electric chair faceplant and using Wheeler Yuter's seatbelt pin on Hart. Foreshadowing, is she joining the Death Riders? Post-match, Triangle lays everybody out, but Jamie Hayter runs out to make the save. Hayter then asks Toni Storms if she wants to get nuts. Toni says she's ready for Hayter, Tekla, and Statlander at All Out, so we're getting a fatal four-way. Video package of Ace Austin. Bang Bang Gang backstage says they're tired of all the bad luck, so they're done with the cardboard cutouts. Now it's time to find out what is next. Mercedes isn't happy with Rio, so how about Rio and Alex Windsor face Monet and Rio's mentor, Emi Sakura, on Dynamite. Next up, the Don Callis family is out to brag about what happened on Dynamite. Josh Alexander says he's ready to take out Hangman Page in their grudge match next week. Kyle Fletcher says he's not impressed with Mark Briscoe, who won't win tonight anyway, so he wants to go after the world title at All Out. It's where Page got his first world title shot, so Fletcher sees it as poetic. Next up, a red hologram is teased, and he will be here soon. Paragon and the Conglomerate are in the back. Kyle O'Reilly's excited. They're cloning luchadors. Roderick Strong doesn't want to hear it and is happy Ishii is headed back to Japan. O'Reilly says they'll get back together and Conglomerate later. Anthony Bowens is backstage bragging about his accomplishments lately. Jerry Lynn comes to Bowens and says he's been slipping and it's time to find out what he's missing. Main events, Konosuke Takeshita versus Mark Briscoe. If Briscoe wins, he gets a shot at Kyle Fletcher. Great match. Don Callis causes a distraction, allowing MJF to show up and shove Briscoe off the top rope before he can do the froggy bow. Takeshita hits the Raging Fire for the win. Post-match, Takeshita is not happy with the interference, and Briscoe and MJF have to be held apart. MJF says pick the time, the place, and even the stipulation. Briscoe picks All Out, and he'll get back to him on the stipulation. That is the end of Collision. That is the last 3 weeks in wrestling. I'll be back next week to recap the action of WWE and AEW, starting with the Monday Night Raw on September 8th for you. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at David Sears 75 on X, David Sears 1982 on Instagram. And if you want to donate and give me some love on Venmo, I'm David-Sears-14. You can help support great programming like this by hitting me up on my Venmo. For Tony Kurre Radio, I'm David Sears saying this has been Bell to Bell Radio. Have a nice day.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.